Yeah. Hi team, I can see that we have one participant. Just yeah, so we have team joining. Yeah. Priya, Raghu, Vijay. Yeah. Thanks team for joining today. Just wait for 10 more seconds for those to join. Yeah. Hi team, welcome to the class, and today's class is on VPC and subnet. Till now we have completed here on the AWS side about the EC2 RDS, how do we connect EC2 with the RDS and other different services like the IAM code, commit code, other things. Okay, so before we start with the A with this today's topic of the VPC, that is virtual private cloud and subnets with route table and other things. Let's go from little basics. Okay. Here you have the front end and then you have the back end. In the back end, again you have the business logic layer. Then you have the database, which will be connected. As the client or the customer will be using a browser, maybe Chrome or IE to connect to your front end. From the front end with username and password, if it is at the first page, that is sign up, sign in, it will be stored, retrieved. You'll be getting the request, and you'll be sending the request to the server and the response. Okay. So once this request and response is happening, and once this project is in production, then at that time your actual client, the customer who is in the open internet, you understand what is open internet, that this particular service is open to internet, server is open to internet. And one more thing, very important, you give access to the server but not to the database of the database, direct access to the database to your client or the customers. Just like if you take an example of Facebook, you can access the Facebook through facebook.com DNS, and in between what's happening in the background in the backend is that through the load balancer, depending upon the geographical location, you'll be redirected to the Facebook server. Here in the backend, you might have DNS server, load balancer, and it can be on the on-prem or it could be on the cloud. So during the development phase, if I come from the scratch, you will have your repository. Sorry, I'm very bad at diagrams. Every developer will create the branches, and they'll push the code to the repository from here on the development server, which will be provisioned by the DevOps. Your code will be pushed through one more server called as automation server, maybe Travis or the Jenkins. From here, it will be deployed on the development server. Testers will test it. The access to the tester will be given by the DevOps. It's his roles and responsibility to provision the server, give the access to the concerned team, like the develop access, setting up the repository in cloud, AWS as code commit, and giving the access to the developer, creating the username, password, and the service secret keys, and sharing it with the developers if they are 10 developers, and then creating the repository, finalizing the repository as it is, and then creating the Travis or Jenkins, any automate build or automation server, which will take care about the standardization of the code. If there is any unstructured code or any code standardization, basically, and then pushes it to the development server. Once it is pushed to the development server, the testers will be able to test it, and maybe from the local or directly connected in a standard way. They actually test it on the development server, and parallelly the other code, like if developer one is working on the home page, developer two is working on the contact us page on the domain driven development microservice way. Okay, if they are working, then one home page, front end home page for the back end task for the home page, everything is developed by one developer who is a full stack developer, and in the code is pushed to the repository. From there, it is first pushed, deployed on the development through the automation server. All this setup is done by the DevOps guy, and on the development, the tester is testing it from his own angle, like smoke testing, and other unit. He's checking the unit test cases. He's checking the functionality. He's checking the black box smoke testing. Then later the same code is deployed on the regression. This is how the cycle of development goes on, and then you deploy your code which is fully tested, fully functional into the prod. Now here it could be a on-prem, here it could be a cloud. So currently, as this workshop is for this workshop and training is for AWS Amazon Web Services. Here we'll be provisioning EC2 and on the database as RDS. Okay, if it is NoSQL type, we'll be provisioning the DynamoDB. But basically, I have given you hands-on with EC2 and how you will be executing some of the commands in this Linux T2 Micro free tier service, and then make it as a web application server, and then using the security group of this, the default security group of EC2 and default security group of RDS, your the inbound section, how you are whitelisting this EC2, so that once you execute some of the commands directly, the MySQL will be, it will be connected to the RDS MySQL free tier service. Okay, and later you'll be designing, or you will be actually doing the DDL, that is a the table, creation of the table and filling of the dummy data, or maybe filling of the actual data. So if this is in prod, your front end repository and the back end repository is hosted here on the EC2. You'll provision it, you will type some of the commands, hit some of the commands to make it as a web application server, and then connect to the RDS. Okay, now this whole thing from the scratch, how it is developed, how it is provisioned, and goes till the production. The very basic thing, one thing is your VPC and security group, which gives you most important thing is the security and at the access layer. Okay, so once you provision a server, think that Raghu and Vijay are provisioning any server, by default it will be inside in VPC. Okay, by default it will be inside in VPC, and a simple security group will be provided. What is this security group? It is like a sub network. Okay, sub network inside this whole bigger network. Now what if this VPC isn't there? Practically, if I take the data center very near to us is in Mumbai, and very general example if I give, it is maybe like a big the factory or a big data center with continuous supply of electricity with thousands of servers, not only EC2 but different services like you can see the services in the service section of your console, and there are many different racks. Inside this rack you will have different servers. These servers are given on rent provisioning. So very plain English layman term, if I speak, one server section, maybe this has server one, server two, whichever physical hardware. Once sitting in your home through your laptop, if you are logging into the console and provisioning EC2, you'll be getting this. You can be able to deploy your code, and you can actually use any browser to connect. Okay, now this is very practical term in a layman's term to explain, but you can see that you are getting a section of a full server here, and which is actually segregated from other access. No other user, if there is any other user, maybe a neighbor, or maybe somebody from Delhi, maybe somebody from Bangladesh is accessing the Mumbai server and provisioning another server and accessing it, he might get this one. And the data between two is not exchanged practically. There is a division, but still, depending upon your requirement, if your client says that it should be totally separate from even in the cloud, then at that time, what you can do is that by default, however, you will be getting a default VPC and a default SG. And what's the full form of FG? Is security group. Inside that, you can have a server, and in another security group, you can practically do hands-on. Is that you will have a database, so that whenever your actual client in the open internet who is accessing it, they get the access because of the DNS whitelisting and other things, right? But during the development, if is there any service or the application you want to have a actual division or separation between the data being collected, data being accessed from different server. You can have another server which is inside the whole another security group. So you can say that this server 3 shall not have the access, so you can keep it in a different security group and do not whitelisting this security group in the inbound section of this security group. Okay, so automatically if you're not whitelisting, you're not I'm saying whitelisting, but technically in the console you will enable in the security group inbound. If you allow it, it will be able to access using the commands, using the SDKs, using the other application logics. But here this server is connecting, so this client will automatically be having the information, even if he has the information over the IP address, and he will won't be able to actually connect directly to the database. And it is a good practice that you should not give access to the database to the client. And during the development, there are two things. One, at the production, the client is able to access only through DNS and the gateway to the server, and the server is able to access or fetch or do CRUD operations, CRUD operations in the database. So that is the reason you have a different security group, and you can create a simple another sectional VPC, which will be very different from this VPC to another. So let's do the hands-on. I'm going on mute for 10 to 15 seconds. If you have any doubts, let me. Yeah. So guys, I gave you the explanation why do we have to create a different VPC than the default one, and what is security group. Okay. So before we do the hands-on, what we are going to do, I'm giving you a outer view of it. We will be creating a VPC. Inside this VPC, we'll be creating 4 different security groups. Okay. Embedded diagrams, please pardon. Okay, 4 different security groups, and this security group I'll name it as private 1A, maybe west inside the West California 1A, and this will have the IP range. I'll explain you the IP ranges, what is the explanation for that, and what is the how we number of IP addresses it will be provisioned. 1A, we'll keep this as a private, another thing as a private. Private means it's not accessible from the open internet. 1A, 1C, we'll keep it as West 1C, and this will go up till, I think, yeah, we'll keep it 16 and 28. This one is 28. Okay, the same thing. Right, we'll keep 2 public, 2 private. So public 1A, and this is public, so West 1A, and it will be 10.0.0.0 till 3132 slash 28. Okay, then public, because we have completed to 1C, and West 1 is completed, 1C, we will keep it in that region. Availability zone 0.0.32 is done, and after that 16 is 48, right? 48 slash 26, no, 28. So you can see that we will be provisioning a VPC. Okay, this VPC will be named as my VPC, just to remember, and we'll keep it very simple. This is the security group 1, security group 2. The name of the security group would be private 1A, private 1C, and security group 3, security group 4, and inside the availability zone was 1A, 1C. You'll have two private, two public in 1A and 1C. And this is, yeah. Now we'll again be creating some route tables, and I'll explain you technically what is a route table for the private, route table for the public. Let me write down it as a route table RT. Okay, route table, and this is for the private PRRT. This is for the public PURT. Okay, public route table and private route table. Then we'll be having an internet gateway IG. I think I need to draw the diagram a little bit in a different way so that you will have an access. This is IG, internet gateway, which internet gateway, and then route tables for the private, for the public. So this is for the private PR and route table, and public PUB, public route table. Okay, and then we will also be having a NAT gateway. So as an assignment, get to know the full form and what it is. But in the during the hands-on, of course, I'll be explaining you what it is and what. Now you have this security groups here. Okay, you can provision n number of servers here with their IP address. Now I have taken this VPC. Let's provision it. Yeah. So going into the AWS, you can actually log into VPC by searching this as a VPC. And you can see that there is a default VPC that you get. It is VPC by default. Inside this VPC, you will get all the details of the VPC. That is what's the route table for it, what is the DHCP and network ACLs. I'll come to this part. Let's create a VPC, our own, and we'll name it as my VPC June 22. Yeah, I was still in 21 evening. Okay. I know this is not the naming convention. You should keep it very good in your project. Let's take the VPC as 0.0.0 slash up till 26. Okay. So 26. Yeah. Now I'll explain you why we tick, what is the meaning of this 26, what is the CIDR block and other things. Coming to the tenancy, there's a default and dedicated. We'll keep it as default. Dedicated in the sense you will all have all the other resources and other things which will be dedicated to this particular VPC only. So we do not want our VPC, it is default. And of course, we can have the name as VPC name tag so that we can use an SDK and we can access them, or in any other way we can access. So you can see there are VPs. This is the details of the VPC, the name of it, and if you go to the dashboard or so, you will be able to see that there are two VPCs. And by default, if you create one VPC, you will get one route table, one main route table. Once we are inside the topic of the route table, I'll explain what it is. But remember that once you create a VPC, by default, one route table you will get. Okay. So you can see in the VPC, this is our VPC, this is not. So let's name it my VPC June 22nd evening 6. You have this hours. Okay. Now let's go to the. Let me close others. Yeah. So you have my VPC created. Let's create SGs. That is a security group. 4 security groups. Private 1A, 1C in West. We are in North California. North California is US West 1 as the code for the region, and West 1. Let's see the availability is there. We'll be creating all the subnets. Then this VPC is specific to a region. It is not that you can create a VPC in one region and share the other subnets. No, it's everything specific to the region in North California itself. I am currently in Chennai, Hyderabad. You can keep it, but our AWS server is nearby to the data center nearby to us is Mumbai. For hands-on, I'm creating it on the other region, US West one. Let's create subnets. So you have this option, create subnet. Select the VPC. We'll be having our own VPC selected. That is, it will have evening. Yep, easy to remember. And then you can have 10.0.0.0. It starts from 0 to 28. Let me explain you guys what is the meaning when I selected VPC, that is 10.0.0.0 up till 26. That means if you see this logic, that is 2 to the power of, okay, the nearest, that's a 32 minus, okay, 26. I'm taking 26. So what is it? 32 minus 26. It's 2 to the power of. Can anyone unmute and let me know? 6. And what is the 2 to the power of 6? Any wrong answer? Okay. So these many, let's say 64. So we'll be able to get nearly. Sorry guys, just 20 minutes, 20 seconds mute. I'll be back. Yeah. Okay, guys. Sorry about the delay. So I was speaking. Hope I'm on mute. Yeah. So I was speaking about that why we took 26 while creating the VPC. We took 10.0.0.0 and forward slash s26, and this calculation goes like 32 minus 26 will give you Is it 8, 6 or 4? Can you please unmute and let me know? Yeah, guys, I need the answer. It's interactive. Okay, I'll. Yeah, so no issues. So I have selected 10.00 up till 26, and the reason is that your IP addresses will start from 10.0.0.0, and which whatever IP addresses, the range of IP addresses, maybe if you get 64 IP addresses to be in this security group, 5 will be taken away by AWS for different reasons. I'll show you live that if you have created 64 or maybe 120, 123 IP addresses inside that, if you once you're creating a security group and different resources that you are provisioning, this will be assigned with an IP address and 64 different IP addresses. How did we get this number as 64? We are provisioning is as 10.0.0 up till 26. Now 32 minus 26, you will directly get 2 to the power of 32 minus 26, 2 to the power of 6, which will give you as 64. So 63 different IP addresses you'll be able to assign in this security group 1. Okay, in this security sorry security group, and the start is 000 and the end one is 10.0.63. And one more point to remember is that if you're getting 63 and I'm trying to get 63 different services, maybe EC2, load balancer, DNS and other things, I will be only able to use 58 IP addresses. 5 will go to 5 will be used by AWS for different other backend services. Okay, so we are creating SG security group, and we are in here up till 28 subnet. Yeah, it will start from 0, and sorry, the name let's take is private A, PRIVAT, private 1A, and IP we CIC header block, that is the IPs up till 28. This security group will start from 0 to 15. 15 IP addresses it can be allocated. 16 to I'm logically dividing this security group 64 total. I can keep it right. I can assign it divided by I'm having 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it will come as 16 times. Okay. So 16 here, 16 here, 16 here. Okay, so 0 to 15 is will be utilized, so I'm keeping 0 till 28. That means till 15 here. Now the next after 15 it is 16, 16 to 16. Okay, in the next security group I'll be creating that one. So you can, what is the other option? Availability zone, we are keeping it in 1A, right? This is a naming, this is just the name as a private. I didn't keep anything as a private. 1A, let's not go with the tags, and it is creating the security group. You can see there is the first security group is created. Another security group in this VPC, and we'll name it as, what is the second one? Second one is private 1C. Okay, you should also follow the naming conventions before you start with the project. Get familiarized with naming conventions. I'm provisioning this in the US West 1C, West 1C, 1A, 1C, and we'll be giving 16, that is 10.0.0.16 slash 28. Okay, 28. And no tags, create, yes. Let's see what is the other one, that is a public 1A, 1C. Yeah, okay, you can see these are the subnets created. Public evening VPC PUBLIC public 1A, and I'll be doing this in US first 1A 10.0.0.0 dot slash, and this is 28. Is there anything mistake that I did? Yes, that is after 16. This will stop at 31. Okay, so from 16 to 31 it will stop. I have to use 10.0.0.32. Okay, I need to use 32 here. And is there any other thing that we are missing? No tags. Create the subnet. Another subnet in the same VPC. Is this private or public? This is public 1C. Okay. Let's take any availability zone. Yes. PUBLIC 1C. Availability zones, it's C, so we'll click it on C. Here 10.0.0.0 slash 28. Where did we sort? This is the fourth one, right? So we'll be taking as per the number calculation, that is 48. Okay, and no other things. Subnet is created. So what are the different VPCs that we have? Let's revise. We have one VPC, one default VPC, and subnets. We have created four subnets. That is private, public, and you can see the other different subnet ID. It has state is currently available. I am concerned about IP. Yeah, 0 to 32, 0 to 16 to 32 48, right? Now you can see IP addresses are only 11, but we were we were assuming 16 will get it by default, right? 16 in this, 16 in this, 16 in this, 16 in this security group. But all available IP version 4 addresses are 11 only. As said, 5 will be taken by the AWS for their backend process or anything. This is in West 1C. C means that is a public 1C and private 1C. Yeah, they are C. It should come as CCAA. Okay. Availability zone ID and other things are by default good. Now, once we have created these security groups, all we'll be creating uh, route tables. Okay, so let's create route table. You can see by default one route table will be created. Okay, one default route table will be created once you create a VPC. So I created one VPC today in this live hands-on, and one the route table is created here. Let's see the route table. What are the things in the route table? Yeah, and in the routes you can see that yes, there is one route. Is there any subnet associated? This route is individually lying. Okay, one route is created. We'll be creating one more, but they are individually lying. We're not getting connected to any of these security groups. We will be doing it that in the security group association. Okay, let's see the tags. No tags because we have not created it. So let's create a route table. One more route table. Let's take it as route table. We keep it as this as the private RT route table, to which VPC it is associated, or VPC, not the default one, and no tags here. Okay, we created a route table, very simple. Let's go to the route tables. What are the things? Yes, we created private. Let's make our own, not the default one, but our own private VPC as public. We are just naming it. Technically, we didn't do anything to make it public. Remember that. Private public RT. Save it. So we just named our RTS private and public. Now, how can we actually make it public? How can you technically say that, okay, this security group is public, this security group is public? We just named it, right? It's through the route tables. Okay, when the outside internet is able to access, okay, is able to access, then you will be able to say that this is public and this is public. And if they are not able to access, this is private and this is private. Yeah, I can make this as the name as private, but if I give in their route table some access through the internet gateway, then the name would be private, but it is accessible from the open internet. So we won't be mixing that, confusing it. So whichever is public, we'll be creating internet gateway and giving the access to it. So that is the importance of the internet gateway, that when uh, if it is this security group, if outside internet traffic has to connect, it has to go through the internet gateway, and through the route table it checks that is it open to the internet or not, then it will give the access. Or you can keep this box above, and then I can make more clear picture. Okay, or this box which will be just below, so that client will first go to the internet gateway, it will check the route table, yes it is having a public access, then it will give the access to this one. So let's go to internet gateway. Internet gateway is like giving access itself, right? Internet gateway, the English name, layman's term, it is saying that is access to the internet. So let's create an internet gateway. Let's say my internet, my small my internet gateway GW June 22nd evening. Guys, please don't use these naming conventions in your actual project. Only for your hands-on and easy selection, I'm giving these names. Internet gateway. Okay. Internet gateway is created. Okay. Now, let's see what are the actions we can perform. This internet gateway is not attached to any VPC that we have not used. So action attached to a VPC, and our VPC name is this one, not the default one. So we are attaching it to the VPC. So this internet gateway is attached to this VPC, which is written. I have written it as a evening. So it is attached. Now go to the route tables. In this route table, you will be attached associating to this particular SGs, that is a security group. And because this is private, we named it, will be associating with private. So go to the public, route table ID, check subnet associations. You can see that you can edit the subnet association. And as this, the name is, what's the name? RTB. Okay, VPCs, go to the route tables. We are considering the public. In this, you can do the edit subnet association. Public one will be assigning public and the public, not the private. And yeah, associated, save association. Okay, you can see it is updated that your public route table is associated to two subnets. Okay, your public route table is associated to two subnets which are public. I have selected. Now I am selecting public route table, private route table associated to the private one. Private action edit subnet association. We are associating our subnets. That's a private and the private. Save the association. Okay, it is updated. Two subnets are associated. Yeah, so we created an internet gateway associated to our VPC. That is, you can see in the live. Every time, just check it. Don't just leave it thinking that it was updated. You need to refresh. There's a refresh button here provided by AWS. You do not have to go here and refresh. It will be directly refreshed with that button. Okay, you found the difference between the refresh of the two. Both are same, but this will be refreshed at the application layer. Here you can see this is associated. Now you have one more important concept. I'll go on mute for 15 seconds. If you have any doubts, let me know. I'll be going on a new concept called as a NAT. Why it is used, how it is used, how to configure. Yeah, guys. So in the last before the break, we have provisioned VPC, actual VPC in that four different security groups, and we have given the IP address ranges, how it is mathematically, how to understand it. We have given we have provisioned internet gateway. So that and we have made association with these route tables. We have provisioned route tables and associated with these route tables, this private and the public ones. We will be provisioning NAT, and we will be making this security. First, we will be making this security groups public. How can you make it public? Uh, let's take this answer. Our own console. You can go to the route tables. Inside the route tables, you can see that's a public, right? Inside the public, you can edit routes, okay, and you can add a route. If you're adding this route, that is 000, and associating it with any internet gateway, this is our internet gateway, my internet gateway, June evening. This is only the internet gateway. That's the reason it was. Routes are one route can only be associated with one internet gateway, but one internet gateway can be associated with many routes. So it is like one to many, many to one association. So I'm saving this, making, if I may use this IP address, that means this route table, whichever the SGs are in, associated SGs are there, it will become accessible to open internet. Okay, save it. So what we just did as a summary, I created this association and I made this route saying dot 000 dot slash 0 to the open internet. Okay. Now, what is NAT gateway? What happens when this private resources, if there is any EC2, which or a database in this, sorry guys, I will use database here. I'm bad at diagrams. This database, if it wants to upgrade itself, patch the operating system or the application or antivirus, and it has to get that package and everything from the open internet, but it is not associated with any internet gateway to go and get the data. If there is any app that is running, if there is any command that is running to patch it, upgrade it, what will happen? It is not associated. So it will use the NAT. This NAT will be allowing it to go to the open internet, to the server wherever the packages are there, to upgrade itself, get it from the, and then bring it, get the data, and it will be patched here. So for the open internet to access any private security group, will be taking help of the NAT. Okay. So let's go to the route table. Let's create one NAT. Where is this? This is a small change. VPC, let me go. VP, select VPC. No, I not. I want NAT. Yeah, NAT gateway. So create a NAT gateway, and we'll see it is my NAT gateway June evening. Okay. My bad. We go June evening. Subnet. What is the subnet associated with it? All are private, right? Private. Yeah. There is a catch here. You need to associate your NAT with a public subnet. You cannot associate it with a private. You need to associate with a public background. In the backend, it will be using the internet gateway and getting the, okay. I'll keep this as an assignment for you to understand why we are associating your NAT gateway to a public one. Okay, we won't be doing it with a private, we'll be connecting with the public. And connectivity type public. Yeah. Allocate elastic IP. So there is an IP address which is allocated by default, which is selected. Good. We created the NAT gateway. Now inside this NAT, we will need to configure, saying that okay, for the open internet, how you can do it. Let's go to the NAT gateways. Selected action. New details. Detail monitoring. Where is this option? It's pending. There's a reason. Okay. Let's review our things. Our own VPC. This one, subnets. These are the subnets. Internet gateway, you have one internet gateway. Route tables, whether route tables, yeah. Route tables associated to two subnets, public and private. Then you have the NAT gateway. This is the NAT gateway. Yes, it is. Why it is still pending? Okay, let's see. So go to the route tables, go to the private one, private route table, select it, and then go to the routes for it. Okay, or you can change edit routes, take it as 000, and here you need to take it as the NAT gateway. By default, there is only one NAT gateway which we have created. You can create multiple, and in the route table of the private, see here the route table of the private, I am associating this open internet with that NAT, so that these security groups can actually access the open internet through the NAT, and internal working of the NAT is like associated with public, and it can get the data from the open internet and give it to the private, which is not having any access. If there is no NAT, they won't be having any access to the open internet. Any upgrade patch to the operating system of the, if there is any database or any other service that needs access to the open internet, won't be possible if not NAT is in there. We create it, save the changes. Yeah, looks good. All the VPC and other. Now you're ready with four security groups. Okay, VPCs, internet gateways, your route tables, your NAT, and you know what all things it works. If you have any doubts, I'm going on mute. Once 10 seconds happen, you should be able. If you have any doubts, let me know. Okay, guys. So you have seen one more concept. I take it as the, you don't have any doubts here. Yeah. So you have seen that we have provision security, we have provision VPC, security, four different security groups, internet gateway, why it is used, public route table, private route table, NAT gateway, and we have configured how internet, open internet access can happen. Now, anything that is provisioned inside this shall be having its own IP address auto assign enabled one. Okay. And so for that, we can go into the subnets. Inside the subnet, you can select all. Okay, action. Okay, sorry. We can select this on the action route table association. No, that is 1 minute. Not able to see. Yeah, modify auto assign to enable it and then save it on the VPC level. So as an assignment question, let me know on the VPC level. Do we need to assign auto enable? But this one is your assignment question. Okay. Now on the internet gateway, do we need to do that particular? Do you have that option? No. On the subnet level, we have taken the first one, second one, auto assign, modify auto assign, enable it, save it. Okay, what does this do? It simply helps you to auto assign these IP addresses between the range which you have specified, that 16 from 16 to 31. So your first EC2 server which you are assigning in this SG will be might be probably be assigned 10.0.0.17 or dot 30 or dot 26. Okay, so any out of IP setting, yep, IP address. Let's go for the last. Okay, so yeah, so we are done with the things. Let's take a small review. Again, what we have done, we have provision VPC, we have provision four different security groups. Two are private and two are public. In the availability zone, West 1A as a private 1A, West 1C as a private 1C, West 1A as private public 1A, 1C as public. Now we have only named it. The action of making it public is that you need to create a route table and then assign it as routes as 0.0.0/0 and by provisioning an internet gateway. Now for this, because these are private, how can you say by default it's a private, right? To make it accessible to the open internet, we'll be creating NAT and in the route you'll be assigning it with the security groups. Yeah. So that is it. Have a hands-on and create a EC2 in this and create a database in this particular security group and try to connect with it. Keep this database here, provision it as a MySQL and can try to connect it with the private and the public. In this way, you'll have more hands-on and you will be able to grasp this particular topic of VPC, sub security group, internet gateway, NAT gateway, and route tables in more precise way, and you can become expert in it. Yeah, that's it. If any doubts, just ping me on the WhatsApp or you have my mail ID. Thanks, guys.